Greetings, all my relatives. Nugwadi Kunkunkulietzi Wakasa. I am Chief Big Thunderbird Awesome River. I am the Kwakwaka'wakw tribes on the mid-coast of British Columbia. So I just wanted to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of these lands that we're on today. They're so generous and always welcoming, and it's like that everywhere we go in Indian country. Aboriginal people, Métis people, Inuit people have always been kind and welcoming. Of course, I want to thank the Liberal Party of Canada for this invitation. I really wanted to come and talk to you today. The subject matter is so important to us that I think personally that it's going to define the lasting legacy of the Liberal Party if they do their work properly, and we do our work properly with our leaders and Canadians from coast to coast. I bring you greetings from our National Chief, Perry Bellegarde, and by extension, all Aboriginal people of this country. We, too, are deeply desirous of reconciliation. As a member of the Elders' Council of the Assembly of First Nations, I am bound by all that is sacred to uphold and honor the principles, the core principles of reconciliation: peace, balance, harmony, interconnectedness, believing in one Creator, one creation, one whole, one inseparable. What happens to one happens to the other. I want to tell you that I spent 11 years in an Indian residential school. I was 6 years old when I got there, spoke only Kwakwala. I moved from an environment of love and care and nurturing to a place of extreme harm, loss, and cruelty. My best memories are far outweighed by my worst memories. I know what abuse means. My inheritance from those years was brokenness, despair, and hopelessness. I have come to terms with my past. We all must come to terms with our past, our collective history together here in this great country. So let us take stock for a moment. The future ahead is breathtaking. Consider this. We stand in an unparalleled moment of hope and promise. We find ourselves in an era of immeasurable optimism. We Canadians, all of us, are undergoing a massive shift of national consciousness, and thanks in part to the Liberal government and this party. There's a new awakening sweeping the nation, and all of it calls to reconciliation. We as Canadians want to be what we say we are: fair, just, equal, inclusive, caring, compassionate, all of those things. We yearn deeply to live up to our Canadian values. We have been moved by the revelation and discovery, indeed the admission of our broken past. We have learned some ugly truths about the debilitating legacy of Indian residential schools and other colonial transgressions. As Canadians, we have been rocked by our collective history. This truth exposed is an affront to our sense of common decency and dignity. By knowing what we now know, we want to atone for the past. We want to do what is right. We want to live up to our highest selves. The number of Canadians willing to engage in reconciliation is truly inspiring, and it's growing every day. A few months ago, at the final presentation of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada report, the report characterized what happened to Aboriginal people as cultural genocide. And there was some sadness in that. There was some shock. But what was really important was that a subsequent national poll said that while 7 out of 10 Canadians agreed with that characterization, 7 out of 10 Canadians wanted to engage in reconciliation. And I want to tell you that that number is rising. So the Liberal government, Liberal Party, we are on the right path. All of those people that we've been engaging in discussions across this country, in town halls and other places, all want to know what reconciliation means. All want to be invited to the table of reconciliation. Who are these Canadians? I have met many of them along the way and everywhere. They are Canadians of every stripe, of every color, of every creed, of every race. They are government, they are institutions, they are corporations, they are ordinary Canadians, they are leaders, they're doctors and lawyers and educators, miners, fishermen and union members, service club members, everybody. They're all interested in this idea of us creating a better place for everybody, in reconciling. The collective desire is real, so we need to stay on this road, strongly and clearly, unequivocally committed to the idea that it's the time now for this great country of ours to reconcile all of its people. The common theme among all of these people is a call to address the past, to find new ways forward, to vision a future together unlike anything we've ever had before. It truly is exciting to think about all of these possibilities. However, back to the moment, we now know that Canadians are on track and willing to engage in reconciliation. We know that the Liberal government is eager to make things right, and that you, Liberal Party members, are on track. Let us create, in moving forward, let us create a future of inclusion. Let us truly learn from the past. Let us honor and embrace fully our diversity. Whether you know it or not, we are already starting down that path to reconciliation. All of us are now truly in a transformative moment, and things look really good down the road. As I look back over the past year, it is incredible to see how far we've come. Our Prime Minister has committed to acting on all 94 recommendations of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission report. A significant commitment. So when that is realized, there will be meaningful and lasting impacts for all Canadians. Minister Bennett earlier this month announced Canada's full endorsement of the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. Ensuring that Canada is part of a global movement towards recognition and support of its Indigenous people. As we look forward, we are also working to correct injustices of the past. The historic Chilcotin decision marked the first time that Aboriginal title was granted, acknowledging the rich history of Indigenous peoples across these lands we now call Canada. The Daniels decision recognized the importance of the Métis story within our collective history. The recognition by the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal of funding inequities for child welfare on reserves. We can now look forward to a future where all of our children are treated equally and funded equally, and all of them have the same potential to grow up with dignity and pride and respect. Just the other day, Canadian Heritage Minister Jolie funded Inspire so that Aboriginal young people can meet other young Canadians in the spirit of relationship building and reconciliation. The 4R's youth movement was also funded, as was Reconciliation Canada. These entities and many others like them are already on the ground promoting, encouraging, and developing reconciliation. There is a national inquiry into missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, which is now underway, a critical step in our collective healing. Reconciliation takes many forms and involves all Canadians. Our Prime Minister's apology for the Kumagato Maru incident is an important gesture that recognizes that our strength as a country comes from our diversity as peoples and our need to be accountable to each other. Reconciliation is not just taking place within our capital, but from coast to coast to coast in this great country of ours. Organizations like the 4Rs, as I said, Canadians for a New Partnership, Legacy of Hope, Inspire, Reconciliation Canada, and many others are already working on our behalf to bring about the vision and the dream that we can live in a reconciled country. Municipalities, including this great city, Winnipeg, where we are gathered today, has declared 2016 a year of reconciliation. And there are other big cities across our country who are working and who have done the same thing and are working towards similar things. Educators in most of our provinces are working to incorporate Indigenous content within their school curriculums. Churches, multicultural organizations, unions, and others are embarking on this journey of reconciliation. The list is endless. I just want you to know that Canadians agree with you, and they agree with your Liberal government that reconciliation's time is now and that it's taking place. All of these initiatives are compelling. The new face of Canada is emerging. The recent federal election of the Liberal Government of Canada is timely and a blessing in disguise. No other government has ever embraced the idea of reconciliation so vigorously, and that is why there is a thunderous resonance across this land. But a note of caution. There are many naysayers. The very idea of reconciliation is contested. To you party members and Liberal government representatives, stay bold, stay strong, stay the course. You will be distracted from time to time, and you will be pulled in every which way. But remember this, always be more than your words by acting out and fulfilling your commitments. Action is truly stronger than words. When you are driven and living up to your values, you are being true to yourselves. So Liberal Party members, stay true to yourself. I suspect anyway that that is the Liberal way. Remember that reconciliation begins with self, begins with you. You must be at peace internally, and then with your family and community, and then the nation, and of course, all of creation. Live out your lives with reconciliation as a core value. I would be remiss, not to acknowledge the commitments and early actions taken by Prime Minister Trudeau and his cabinet. To name a few, the commitment towards a renewed nation-to-nation relationship, the missing and murdered Indigenous women's inquiry currently underway, significant investments in education, the doing away of the 2% cap, the repeal of all legislation unilaterally imposed on Aboriginal people, the complete and full endorsement of the 94 recommendations of the Truth and Reconciliation, and the adoption of the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. I would also be remiss if I didn't just remind you of some of the things that National Chief Pelgard reminds us, the current realities in our communities, in our families, that half of all First Nations kids live in poverty. 48% of all children are Aboriginal, more than 40,000. Secondary graduation rates are 35% compared to 85%. Life expectancy 5 to 7 years less. TB rates 30 times the rate of others. Suicide rates 5 to 7 times, and the list goes on. 130,000 new homes are needed. More than 4,300 First Citizens remain displaced by flooding. And so the desire to close the gap and to move forward in reconciliation is characterized by the AFN, the Assembly of First Nations, in the following categories. 1, strengthening First Nations families and communities, sharing wealth and prosperity and equitable funding, upholding rights, honoring treaties, creating new ones, respecting the environment, revitalizing Indigenous languages, completing the work of the TRC. Here's the thing, and I want you to really hear this. The synchronicity between the vision that Prime Minister Trudeau currently holds in reconciliation with Aboriginal people is uncannily the same as that of the Assembly of First Nations National Chief. So we can do this together, we can work together, and we can bring about the reconciliation that's needed. I know my time is running out, but I want you to close your eyes, and I'm going to close my eyes. Well, no, I'm not going to, because I've got to read this. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to think. When we are reconciled, imagine that in your mind. When we are reconciled, we will live in a harmonious and peaceful society. All Canadians, including Aboriginal people, will have equal access to all of the amenities: affordable housing, clean drinking water, health and education, public safety and security. When we are reconciled, we will all share in the prosperity and wealth of this great country. When we are reconciled, we will honor the treaties and make new ones. When we are reconciled, we will all matter, every race, every color, every creed. When we are reconciled, we will vision a future together with our children, walking hand in hand. What else can I say but to thank all of you, my relatives, for the opportunity to speak to you briefly. As we move forward in the days and years to come, I want to close with this remark: that we have, probably in all likelihood, the best window to bring about reconciliation that this country has ever had. So at a minimum, we have 4 years to embed in the psyche and the consciousness of all of us the idea that the time to reconcile is now. Thank you.